guys, welcome back to Legal Banter. Today's video is based on another controversial action that the UP government has taken recently. In the month of November 2020, the UP government promulgated an ordinance which related to punishing and prohibiting any marriages that were based on converting from one religion to the other. Now, if you were to look at it in a utopian scenario, and if the law would have been religion neutral, then obviously this would have been a welcome step, because there is a problem of compulsion or compulsory conversion, either which is based on fraud, coercion or misrepresentation in India. So such a law would have been a welcome law. The problem, however, is that the government of UP has specifically aimed to target the Muslim and the Christian community. Now, coming back to understand as to what is the whole ruckus about, we first need to understand that whether in India do we actually have a right to marry or not. Since this law directly targets and interferes with an individual's right to marry, because it is actually telling you and dictating you that you cannot marry if you are marrying for the purpose of converting to another faith or religion. So to understand, let us look at what this right of marriage is. Marriage is a universal social institution. It was decided by the society, it was a norm prevalent in the society to regulate the actions of man and to be able to put him in a civil and organized order. There is no legal definition of marriage as such, but you can consider marriage in the legal perspective to be considered as a union of a man and a woman. Now that again is subject to changes with the coming of judgments where homosexuality and members of the LGBTQIA community have also been accorded similar rights. Obviously that stands to interpretation, but let's consider it for this video that marriage is considered as a union of man and wife. Now this union is regulated by law, because when you look at the right to marry, you will always have some municipal laws, some national laws that regulate the manner or the process or who all can you marry and who all you can not. When you look at the international scenario, there are a lot of covenants. In fact, beginning from our Universal Declaration of Human Rights that came out in 1948 and progressing from there to the various covenants that have come pertaining to our economic, social, cultural and other similar rights, we have various provisions which specifically mandate an individual's right to marry. However, when you look at the translation of these international covenants and conventions into the Indian scenario, we realize that in India, right to marry is not a right. It is not considered a right in the sense that there is no law anywhere that says that a person or an individual has a right to marry. Whatever little we consider the right to marry to exist is based on various Supreme Court pronouncements which have time and again either directly catered to this question and answered in the positive that yes, rights to marry for an individual is an extension of his right under Article 21. Article 21 pertains to a person's rights to life and personal liberty, and there have been Supreme Court cases where the court has reiterated time and again that right to choose who you want to marry, whether it is a person of your own caste, religion or a person who belongs to another caste or religion, is a personal choice, is an exercise of your integrity and dignity, which means it stands covered under Article 21. So in order to understand how this right has developed as a constitutional right, this right to marry, how it's, the genesis of this right as a constitutional right has happened, let us look at a couple of Supreme Court decisions. The court discussed this issue for the first time in the case of Lata Singh versus State of UP. This Supreme Court decision came in 2006 and was a division bench decision. The basic issue pertained to an intercaste marriage and how the relatives and the families of both the parties have raised objections to it, and that is why the petitioners has sought the protection of the court. Answering in favor of them, the court had reaffirmed and stated categorically that right to choose who a person wants to marry is a fundamental right. This case marks as the pioneer case where the court for the first time considers an analogy, and it says that Article 21, which pertains to your right to life and personal liberty, right to choose who you want to marry, forms an integral part of that right. The court held This is a free and democratic country, and once a person becomes a major, he or she can marry whosoever he or she likes. If the parents of the boy or girl do not approve of such intercaste marriage, the maximum they can do is that they can cut off social relations with the son or daughter, but they cannot give threats or commit or instigate acts of violence and cannot harass the person who undergoes such an intercaste marriage. So as we understand, this was the first case, even though the context was that of an intercaste marriage and not so much so an inter-religion based marriage, yet the court accepted and acknowledged a person to have a fundamental right to marry. The Supreme Court revisited this question again in 2014 when it took suo motu action based on a report that was published in a newspaper pertaining to a girl being gang raped on the orders of the Khap Panchayat just because she had married outside the caste. The Supreme Court, headed by 3 judges, decided to take this action on their own and called up the police as well as the state governments of West Bengal, since the incident had happened in West Bengal. In that case also, the court reiterated and quoted from the earlier decision in the Lata Singh case, stating that a person's right to marry is an integral part of his right under Article 21, and it's such a thing that even the state is not allowed to interfere with it. The next decision came in 2018, which was a landmark decision because it was headed by a bench of 9 judges who sat together to decide a very, very important constitutional issue of law, which was that can right to privacy be considered as a fundamental right. This was the famous case of Justice K.S. Puttaswamy, retired, versus Union of India. Now this case, in the main part of it, pertains to the issue of validity of Aadhaar, the Aadhaar Card Act, and whether it could be made mandatory by the government, since the contentions ranged from this being violative of a person's right to privacy. Now, right to privacy has long been considered a bone of contention between various Supreme Court decisions, and the court has sort of had a back and forth in deciding whether they want right to privacy to be considered as a fundamental right or not. Sometimes you had 5 bench decisions coming stating that yes, right to privacy is a fundamental right, whereas you come across 3 judges bench who completely ignore this 5 judges bench decision and state that no, right to privacy is not a fundamental right. Finally, the court in Puttaswamy in the year 2018 put all those contentions to rest by once and for all stating that yes, right to privacy was adjudged as a fundamental right covered under Article 21. In the same decision, the court in passing, specifically Justice Chandrachud, wrote in his judgment mentioning right to privacy also being an aspect of right to marry. When the court held that right to privacy is a fundamental right, it acknowledged that there were 3 aspects or 3 directions in which this right to privacy could be exercised. First of all, it stated that it involved the person's his personal life, privacy over his life, over the affairs of his life. The second aspect that the court accepted to be a part of this was informational privacy. Information about the person and the fact that the person could withhold that information, and if that were to be taken against his consent, that will amount to violation of privacy. And thirdly, it was the privacy of choice. It has long been held that right to privacy also has an analogous right, which is right to choose. That is exactly what the court reiterated in the Puttaswamy judgment, making it yet again a binding precedent. So now, as of now, in 2018, we had a 9 judges bench agreeing to the fact that right to marry does connote a fundamental right of a person. The court acknowledged this right in the following words. Privacy includes at its core the preservation of personal intimacies, the sanctity of family life, marriage, procreation, the home, and sexual orientation. Privacy also connotes a right to be left alone. Privacy safeguards individual autonomy and recognizes the ability of the individual to control vital aspects of his or her life. Personal choices governing a way of life are intrinsic to privacy. In the same year 2018, the Supreme Court was confronted with the same issue as it had tackled in the case of Lata Singh. This time, this was an NGO called as Shakti Vahini, which had filed a PIL in the court aggravating the issue of honor killings. This was around the time where a lot of honor killings had come to light, and based on that, this NGO wanted the court to direct respective state governments to take this matter seriously. In this case, the court reiterated its ruling in the Lata Singh case because they were both based on the same issue, people marrying outside their caste, and the court once again acknowledged that a person's right to choose who they want to marry is an integral part of their privacy as well as their life and personal liberty. Therefore, the ruling in Shakti Vahini did not come with a lot of difficulty because there was already a set precedent and the court did not want to deviate. 2018 was a landmark year because in this year, after Muthuswamy and Shakti Vahini, came the third and probably one of the most landmark judgments of the Supreme Court that year that pertained to a right to marry. And that case specifically pertains to the issue in hand. This was the case of Shaheen Jahan versus Ashokan KM and another, which is also popularly known as the Hadia case. This case had came before the Supreme Court by virtue of a challenge to the Kerala High Court decision where it had annulled a marriage that had happened between two consenting adults. The reason why the Kerala High Court had annulled the marriage was because it had reasons to believe that the girl who was previously a Hindu had converted to Islam for the very purpose of getting married to her Muslim fiancé. The court considered this to be a problem because they believed this was not a voluntary conversion. This was being done only, the marriage had undertaken only for the specific purpose of converting to another faith, and therefore the court had went ahead and annulled the marriage. This decision of the Kerala High Court was challenged before the Supreme Court by the respondents themselves. The respondents in the previous case, who became the petitioners in this case, contended before the court, specifically the girl Hadia, contended that this was an extreme violation of her multifarious rights that are provided and protected under the scheme of Indian Constitution. Rights simply called as fundamental rights, for example, Article 14, Article 19, which pertains to your freedom of speech and expression being the contention here, as well as Article 21 was contended to be violated by the said action of the High Court. In this case, again, a landmark decision, Justice Chandrachud was a part of the bench and he held that this case was one which would mark it would be a watershed when it came to concerning whether right to marry is a fundamental right or not. Even though the court had previously, in a 9 judges bench, had already held rights to privacy, rights to marry as a fundamental right, but that was in passing. But in the Hadia decision, not only the court accepted that this was a fundamental right, the court severely reprimanded not only the respective state government as well as the National Investigative Agency, who was trying to scrutinize issues like this where people were converting and then marrying people of other faith. So this case again became a landmark decision. The next decision is from the Allahabad High Court in the year 2020, which was a case filed by Salamat Ansari and others versus state of Uttar Pradesh. Now this case is one of those many cases similar to the Hadia case, where again the issue was that the petitioners had approached the court seeking protection and cancellation of the earlier order of the court wherein the marriage between them, which was an interfaith marriage, had been annulled previously. They were seeking the protection of the court from the relatives of the parties. In this case again, the division bench reiterated that people or an individual has a right to marry and they are very much within their right as a fundamental right to choose whether they want to marry a person of different faith, different caste or different nationality. It was considered by the court that the prior decision which had annulled the said marriage between the parties was bad in law since it catered to go against the idea of secularism. The division bench in this case stated that it would be wrong to consider that the state has any right to interfere in a person's right to marriage. Marriage is considered an integral part of a person's privacy, his private life, and that is something that even the state cannot venture into. We may allow the state to regulate the aspect of marriage. For example, we may have provision in personal laws that do not allow marriage between certain sets of people, for example relatives, or it does not allow marriage if certain steps or certain formalities are not taken into consideration, but it cannot altogether take away or deprive a person of this right. When we accept right to marry as a fundamental right, we also consider the state to have no role or to put an embargo on the practice of this right, no matter what the contention could be. The final case in the list happened recently in December 2020, and this was a decision given by the Karnataka High Court. Again, this is a division bench decision which was filed wherein a habeas corpus petition was filed by the petitioner named Wajid Khan in pursuance to seeking the whereabouts of his fiancée Ramya. Ramya is a Hindu, whereas Wajid Khan belongs to the Islam community. The parents of the girl have withheld the girl and her whereabouts are not known to the petitioner, as a result of which he was constrained to seek the direction from the court. The court, while accepting his petition and directing the parents to produce the girl, which was subsequently done, they recorded the statement of the girl wherein she did say that she had voluntarily wanted to get married to the person in question. In that issue as well, the court reiterated that right to marry is a fundamental right, is something integral to a person's right to choose as well as right to privacy, and both of them put together can easily be given the color of a fundamental right, which is exercisable under Article 21 of the Constitution. So through these cases, one can have an idea that when it comes to deciding the issue whether right to marry is a fundamental right or not, the answer is going to be in affirmative. A cumulative understanding of these decisions give us an idea that yes, right to marry, and that to marry a person of your own choice, is indeed being given the right to be treated as a fundamental right. Therefore, in this light, when a PIL has been filed in the Supreme Court by advocates A.S. Yadav and advocate Vishal Thakre along with law researcher Pranavesh, where they are challenging the constitutional validity of the UP ordinance along with the similar kind of laws that are prevalent in states of Uttarakhand and other places. In fact, there is a total of 8 states which have passed such anti-conversion laws, all in the name of freedom of religion. Interestingly, a lot of these laws are called freedom of religion because they believe that by punishing forceful conversions, they're actually giving the citizens a right to exercise this freedom of religion that's already protected under Article 25. So when this PIL was listed before the Supreme Court a couple of days ago, the court did not give stay on the application of the ordinance and the related laws as was being sought by the petitioners. However, it has indeed issued notices to the respective state governments along with the Union of India. The matter has been posted for a hearing that will happen a month later, and until then we are going to decide what side the Supreme Court is going to favor. Though I believe that does not leave much to one's imagination as to which side the court is going to go. In the second part of this video, we will analyze the PIL that has been filed before the Supreme Court pertaining to the challenge to these anti-conversion laws that are passed by the state governments of UP as well as Uttarakhand. So in that video, we will try to understand that what are the contentions of the parties, what problems do they believe these anti-conversion laws suffer from, what are the previous grounds on which similar anti-conversion laws have been struck down, and what is to be the likely outcome of the Supreme Court decision based upon the various decisions that we analyzed today. I hope you liked the video. I hope you learned something new. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. If you believe this video could help somebody, please share this video, subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to hit the notification bell as I post regular videos every weekend. Until then, stay tuned. Thanks for watching.